It really is striking how much the whole AI conversation feels dominated by just a few big names right now.
Yeah, it does.
And you can't help but wonder, is that concentration of power really the only way this goes? And who really benefit?
That's exactly it. That fundamental question control benefit, that's right at the core of what we're diving into today.
Okay.
We're looking at the Artificial Superintelligence Alliance, or ASI Alliance. It's this really interesting Web3 initiative proposing a completely different way to build AI infrastructure.
Right, a decentralized one.
Exactly, built on decentralization.
And for this deep dive, we've pulled together some great stuff. We've got an analysis from Coin Bureau, the Alliance's own foundational docs, especially that updated one bringing CUDOS into the fold. And we'll touch on the token merger buzz, too.
Yeah, lots to unpack.
So the goal today is simple. Give you, the listener, a really clear view of the ASI Alliance. What are they trying to do? What's the tech? And what could it all mean for AI's future? Break it down without making your head spin.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Why? Why did these projects even come together to form the ASI Alliance? What was the trigger?
Well, it really boils down to this fundamental tension, you know? On one side, you've got the current AI scene, highly centralized.
Yeah.
A few big, well-funded companies controlling the data, the models, the compute power, everything. And that naturally leads to questions, right? About transparency, access, who really gains. And then on the other side, you have the whole ethos of Web3, decentralization, open infrastructure, community governance. It's a totally different philosophy.
So the ASI founders basically looked at AI heading down the centralized path and said, hang on, there has to be another way.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The alliance really emerged as a direct reaction to those concerns about the centralized model. Instead of just going it alone, the teams behind Fetch.ai, SingularityNET, and Ocean Protocol realized that if they combine their strengths,
They built something bigger.
much bigger, a more robust alternative. And then CUDOS joined pretty soon after, adding another really vital piece of the puzzle.
And these projects, Fetch.ai, SingularityNET, Ocean, and CUDOS, they each bring something pretty unique to the mix, don't they? Like different layers of a stack.
That's a great way to put it. Each one tackles a specific critical layer of this decentralized AI stack. Let's start with Fetch.ai. Humayun Sheikh's vision was really about moving AI away from that corporate control.
Perfect.
They focus on what they call autonomous economic agents, AEAs, and microagents. Think of them as smart software bits that can negotiate, make deals, coordinate tasks all on their own, no human needing to constantly oversee them.
Wow.
Plus, they're building ASI1 Mini, an open-source language model where the token holders actually get a say in governance.
Agents doing deals automatically. That's definitely pushing things beyond typical software.
It really is. The potential in areas like logistics or setting up super efficient automated marketplaces is huge. Then you've got SingularityNET. This is Dr. Ben Goertzel's brainchild.
Yep.
Their main thing is building a decentralized marketplace, specifically for AI services. Imagine developers publishing their AI models, their capabilities, making them available for anyone to use, paid for in the platform's token.
So like an app store, but purely for AI tools and services.
Exactly like that. And the key thing for SingularityNET is interoperability. These different AI services are designed to connect, to build on each other. You get this dynamic network of AI agents working together.
Interesting.
And they've even spun out other cool projects, Rejuve.ai for health research, NewNet for decentralized compute at the edge, True AGI focusing on, well, the big one, AGI safety. Dr. Goertzel's goal is ultimately about democratizing the path to AGI.
That's a massive ambition. Okay, so we have autonomous agents, an AI marketplace, but AI needs data, right? Loads of it.
And that's where Ocean Protocol comes in. They're the infrastructure layer for sharing data securely and privately in a decentralized way. Their big innovation is compute to data.
Compute to data. How does that work?
Instead of moving sensitive data around, which is always a risk, you bring the algorithm to the data. The computation happens right where the data lives.
Okay.
This is a game changer for fields like healthcare or finance, where privacy is absolutely non-negotiable. They use things like data NFTs, like digital keys, giving specific permissions, and service execution agreements, which are smart contracts enforcing the rules. How algorithms can use the data, basically. Privacy baked in at the tech level.
So a hospital could let researchers train models on their patient data without ever actually exposing the raw, sensitive records. That's huge for privacy.
It really is. And then, finally, there's CUDOS. You can have the smartest algorithms and the best data, but AI needs serious computing power, right?
Right.
Especially for training.
Definitely. GPUs aren't cheap.
Exactly. CUDOS provides decentralized cloud compute. They offer access to a global network of compute resources, GPUs, CPUs, the works. You pay for what you need with crypto. And crucially, people or companies with spare compute capacity can rent it out to the network and earn rewards.
So kind of like an Airbnb for computer power.
That's a decent analogy, yeah. And what's cool is CUDOS actually grew out of a traditional Web 2 infrastructure company. They saw all this unused computing power out there. Pete Hill, one of the co-founders, calls it a compute sharing economy.
Makes sense.
So within the ASI Alliance, CUDOS is basically the engine room, providing the horsepower needed to train models, run applications, the whole lot.
Okay, got it.
So
So we have these 4 distinct pieces. But why the full merger into the ASI Alliance? They all sounded pretty successful on their own. What was the logic behind combining forces?
yeah, that's a key question. It's really multi-layered. First, it's about efficiency, cutting out duplicated effort, and, maybe more importantly, boosting those network effects.
Right. More users, more value.
Exactly. Bringing these established communities and their tech together makes the whole thing much stronger than the sum of its parts. Second, it's about speed. Accelerating the development of a decentralized AI infrastructure that can actually compete with the big centralized players.
A genuine alternative.
A genuine alternative. And maybe the biggest thing, as Coin Bureau pointed out, it sends a powerful signal. It says the future of AI doesn't have to be monopolized by a few giants. There is another way.
A statement almost. We're building a different future for AI. Okay, let's shift gears and talk about the heart of this unified effort, the ASI token. This is meant to be the central economic piece, right? Merging the old tokens.
That's the plan. It's currently trading as EVT, that was Fetch.ai's token, but the full switch to the ASI ticker is happening. This token merger is fundamental to knitting these 4 projects into one cohesive economic system.
So if you were holding FET, AGAX, Ocean, or CUDOS, what actually happens? How does the swap work?
Okay, for FET holders, it's simple. 1 EVT becomes 1 ASI. Straight swap. For AGIX, it's 1 AGX gets you 0.4333350 ASI. For Ocean, 1 Ocean gets you 0.4333226 ASI.
Okay, specific rates.
Yeah, precise rates. CUDOS is a bit more involved. The base rate was about 112.4 CUDOS for 1 FET, but there's a 5% merger fee, so effectively it works out closer to 118 CUDOS, getting you 1 ASI. And interestingly, based on their docs, adding CUDOS this way is set to increase the total ASI supply by around 88.9 million tokens compared to just the original 50 supply.
Gotcha. So specific rates and a bit of supply increase from CUDOS. What about these vesting schedules I read about? Do all these new ASI tokens become available immediately?
No, not all at once. To keep things stable and avoid, flooding the market, some tokens have vesting periods. Public CUDOS holders face a 3-month linear vest. The CUDOS treasury tokens vest over 10 months. And importantly, the AGIX and Ocean tokens that migrate over. They just keep their original vesting schedules, but now they'll be vesting as ASI.
It makes sense. Avoid shocks to the system. So once you have ASI, what can you actually do with it? What's its purpose in this whole ecosystem?
It's designed to do several key things. Really drive activity and align everyone. First, staking. You can stake ASI to help secure the network, participate in governance, maybe get access to better infrastructure services.
Okay. Standard staking utility.
Right. Second, governance. It's a governance token. Holders get to vote on big decisions, AI alignment strategies, where grant funding goes, how resources are allocated across the alliance. It gives the community a real say.
That's crucial for decentralization.
Absolutely. And then, fundamentally, it's the key to access everything. You'll use ASI to pay for compute time on CUDOS, to train and run your agents on Fetch.ai, to buy and sell AI models on SingularityNET's market, and to access those token-gated datasets on Ocean.
So even though the individual networks kind of do their own thing functionally, the ASI token is the common thread, the shared money that makes the whole ecosystem work together.
That's it, exactly. It creates this unified economic layer designed specifically for decentralized AI. Now, the big question, is this stuff actually being used? Are we seeing real-world applications, or is it still mostly theory?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Sounds great on paper, but is it happening in practice?
Well, the ASI Alliance is definitely pushing hard on practical infrastructure and showing real utility. One big area is those intelligent agents and automated marketplaces. That's Fetch.ai's domain.
Right.
Their autonomous agents are being tested, even used in different sectors. Think about automating things like finding the cheapest energy provider and switching automatically, or your car autonomously negotiating and paying for parking.
Huh. Automatic energy switching, self-paying parking.
Yeah.
those are things people can actually relate to.
Exactly. And Fetch.ai's Create Launchpad is making it much easier for developers to actually build, deploy, and even make money from these agents.
Okay, what else?
Another major impact area uses Ocean's compute to data. Remember, training AI without exposing the raw private data?
Yeah, the privacy thing.
That's being actively explored in sensitive fields like healthcare and finance. It lets institutions collaborate on AI research pooling data insights, essentially without compromising privacy or security. That opens up collaborations that just weren't possible before.
That tackles a massive hurdle in those industries.
It really does. Then there's the push to let more people monetize AI openly. Using the Create Launchpad and the Train tools, developers can build their AI agents or models and put them on these open marketplaces.
Set their own prices.
Set their own prices, maybe even get community funding for their projects. It's an alternative to the big companies with their closed-off black box algorithms. It encourages more transparency and community-driven AI building.
So it's not just using AI, but letting more people create and benefit from creating AI.
You got it. And finally, CUDOS is playing that vital role of providing the compute infrastructure, making access to powerful resources like GPUs more affordable and available than just relying on the big cloud providers.
Right, the compute backbone.
Yeah, and it also means people or companies with spare compute power can contribute it and earn something back. It helps decentralize the actual hardware side of things, too.
So someone with, say, a powerful gaming rig could potentially rent out their GPU time when they're not using it.
That's the idea, essentially. It creates a more distributed, potentially much cheaper market for AI compute. Okay, so looking ahead now, what's on the roadmap for the ASI Alliance? What are the big milestones coming up, say, into 2025?
Yeah, their 2025 roadmap looks pretty packed. They've structured it around 4 main areas: infrastructure and network tools, AI algorithms and models, deployment applications, and ecosystem incentives to get people involved.
Okay, let's break that down. Infrastructure first.
Right. CUDOS is still key here. They're focused on expanding their decentralized compute things like bare metal servers, high-speed InfiniBand networking, better GPU provisioning. But the really big news planned for later this year is ASI 0.
ASI, what's that?
It's envisioned as a custom Layer 0 protocol. Ledgerless, apparently, built specifically for high-performance AI tasks, designed to work across different blockchains like Ethereum, Cosmos, Cardano. The idea is to have this super robust base layer just for demanding AI stuff.
Wow, a dedicated Layer 0 just for AI. That sounds like a serious piece of engineering. It absolutely does. Okay, what about the AI models themselves, the learning systems?
The focus seems to be on advancing these things called vision language action models, VLAs, think robotics, biochemistry applications. The goal is to make them more scalable, more efficient, using tools like Hyperon for more complex reasoning, neural symbolic reasoning, they call it.
Okay.
They're also working on ASI, Learn, which is about turning raw data into structured knowledge graphs. And Ocean has its hyperpredictor tool to make AI training more interpretable, easier to understand how it learned.
So not just more powerful AI, but AI that's more understandable, more versatile, capable of deeper reasoning. That's important, definitely. Then there's ASI. Create the developer launchpad we touched on earlier. This is a major focus, making it way easier for developers to build and deploy AI agents and apps.
Lowering the barrier to entry.
Exactly. Starting with an MVP, minimum viable product, and then adding features all year, agent templates, ways to plug in different LLMs, crowdfunding tools, even integration with tools like VS Code that developers already use. Make it really simple to get started.
Getting more developers involved seems absolutely critical if they want widespread adoption.
Couldn't agree more. And on the data side, there's ASI Data. This will be the platform for buying, selling, trading data sets. It'll have provenance tracking built in, privacy protection using Ocean's compute to data tech. Basically, a trusted marketplace for AI training data, keeping it secure and compliant.
A reliable data market.
Yeah,
That could be incredibly valuable for anyone building AI.
for sure. And finally, incentives. They need to get people using the stuff and building on it. So plans include ASI hackathons, earn and burn programs, which can sometimes reduce token supply and boost value, like we saw with that $50 FET program.
Right, that caused a stir.
Yeah. And ongoing campaigns from Ocean like Node Booster and Foam to encourage people to participate in the network.
Okay, so it's a really broad strategy. Build the tech, improve the AI, make it easy for devs, create a data market, and incentivize everyone to join in. It sounds incredibly ambitious. But what are the potential roadblocks? What challenges might they hit?
Oh, there are definitely significant challenges. One big one is just integrating everything, getting the tech and the teams from 4 separate projects, each with its own history and way of doing things, to work together seamlessly. That's complex.
Yep, coordinating 4 different roadmaps and cultures.
It requires really tight coordination. Even if the technologies fit well on paper, making it work smoothly in practice is a major hurdle.
Like getting 4 established companies to suddenly act like one single unit overnight.
Pretty much. Then there's the whole regulatory minefield. They're operating right at the intersection of crypto and AI. 2 areas regulators are looking at very closely right now. Navigating evolving rules around token incentives, data privacy, AI governance. It's going to be tricky. They need to be flexible and stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, you see headlines about crypto regulation and AI safety constantly. That's a tough spot.
It is. And lastly, there's the challenge of reaching beyond the crypto crowd. A lot of the really exciting applications in healthcare, research, big business depend on getting traditional organizations on board.
People who aren't necessarily Web3 natives.
Exactly. Convincing them to use decentralized AI tools,
Yeah.
that's going to require super user-friendly interfaces, easy onboarding, and really clear benefits that make sense to them, even if they don't care about blockchain itself.
Bridging that gap between the crypto enthusiast and mainstream industries, that feels like a make-or-break step for long-term success.
It really does. So look, as we wrap this up, it's pretty clear the ASI Alliance is a major coordinated push to build a decentralized future for AI. It's ambitious.
Definitely.
They're weaving together autonomous agents, secure data sharing, decentralized compute, AI marketplaces, building this modular stack aimed at making AI more open, more accessible, more community-driven.
It's a really compelling vision, isn't it? Blending that cutting-edge tech with this core belief in decentralization.
It absolutely is. And yeah, they face big challenges: integration, adoption, scaling, regulation, no doubt about it. But they've laid the groundwork and they have a detailed plan.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is this. What if initiatives like the ASI Alliance really do take hold? What if they become a real counterweight to the way AI is centralizing right now? What would that more democratized AI landscape actually look like? For innovation, for access, for who benefits, it's definitely something we're thinking about.